Alright guys, so I have made this video, deleted this video, remade this video. Gonna be kind of a controversial one, but I want to start by saying this will be my last input on this topic. I won't be responding anymore. If you tag me, ask for opinions, send me stuff, I'm just gonna refer you to this video. And also a huge disclaimer, this video is made into a widespread phenomenon that's on Instagram. It is not in response to a single person, event, horse. Nothing about this is narrowed down to anything. This is about seriously a huge issue. This issue comes up at least once a month, always blows up, and it's honestly causing a rift. And it's honestly one of those reasons that why a lot of adults, I'm not saying all here, but a lot of adults do not give Instagram any credit and do not consider it part of the community or adult community and consider it childish. So we're going to address copying. Then one of the most frustrating things about this topic is that when someone is called out for copying and people rush to their defense to argue against it, why it's not copying, blah, 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 blah. First of all, 90% of the times that person isn't defending copying, that person is defending just inspiration or likeness, and that's totally different. But 90% of the scenarios I've seen on Instagram, that person was copying. Don't need defending. It's wrong. But all these people jump in with their opinions and defenses, and 90% of those defenses are for likeness and inspiration, but that wasn't what was happening. So I think the biggest problem is that, first of all, people don't really know the difference between what is copying and what is inspiration, and it needs to be addressed. I want to start by saying that while I love all of my followers and everything like that, Instagram is not a popularity contest for me. I hope to put content out there that people like, but that also helps them guide and grow and enjoy the hobby in a very mature manner. So this is an issue I feel strongly about. You will not get me to change my viewpoints on it because I will never agree with copying. And if you don't want to follow me because of that, that is totally fine. But I think, or I hope that after you watch this video, you'll have a little bit of a different light on the topic and what the heart of the issue is and what the drama tries to steer the issue into. So before I go forward, let's break it down. Copying and inspiration. Copying is flat out copying. Copying is you take someone's horse or reference or anything and are planning to do an exact or almost exact replica. Just changing the color of a sculpt you copy is not enough. Just changing the breed of a sculpt you copy is not enough. Just changing the one ear of a breed is not enough. You cannot use someone else's model horse reference as your reference. You need to find your own. Guys, copying is never okay. There's never an excuse for it. There's never a defense for it. And if you think about copying in anything other than the model horse world, it is not allowed. Papers, high school when you're writing papers, photography, books, movies, it's all not allowed. But people want to try to bring these, arguments into the model horse hobby of, oh, well, you don't own it, so, you can't say they can't copy it, yada, yada, yada. Guys, that argument makes no sense. And I tell you, if you try to use that argument, especially if you try to bring it into the more adult or mature side of the hobby, meaning outside of Instagram, you're going to get eaten alive. Not only are you going to get eaten alive, people are going to lose respect for you. Because essentially what you're saying is, what is the point of this hobby then? What is the point of spending money on a unique idea? What is the point of commissioning someone? What is the point of having an artist put hard hours and work into a piece if all you're saying is, if I can't have it and I want it, I can copy it? That's the argument, you guys. It's not a valid argument. Copying is never okay. Now, what I see a lot of people actually meaning to be okay is something that happens and is okay, which is inspiration. I'm going to use a topic here. This is not in relation to anything, but let's say someone does a horse with a ball, and you're like, oh man, I love the idea of a horse with a ball. I want to do one. But you don't want to copy theirs because you know that's wrong. So you Google horse with a ball. Horses have endless emotions. You can find a horse doing something with a ball that is totally different from the picture of a model horse that inspired you. The horse in the picture of the model horse that inspired you could be a horse kicking a ball. You can get the horse tearing the ball, popping the ball, rolling on the ball, tossing the ball. There's so many different things you can do with a horse with a ball. But that is inspiration. That is what people are saying is okay. And everyone defends copying by saying, well, they can do a horse with a ball too, because you can't own a horse with a ball. Just because you've done it doesn't mean that's the only person who can do it. That's not what anybody is saying. What has been called out as copying is someone doing another sculpt that is exactly like and based on an already done piece. The legs match up, the tail match up, the body position match up. If I did a layover of the piece, it would be spot on. And you know what their reference is. You know their reference is another horse. Or when someone goes to copy an artist resin and is using that already created artist resin as their sole reference. Or when someone, we'll even break it down to this, wants to do a color and uses an already done model horse as the color reference instead of finding their own. Those are all instances that are not okay, regardless if they're for personal use, for commission, for just a shelf piece that you never planned to show. It's all not okay. Inspiration is a whole nother thing. Inspiration is just saying that you saw something that you loved and you're like, I could do something like that with that same concept but make it my own. I have a horse with a ball, so do about 10 other people. I can tell you, I've seen all of them. All of ours look 100% different. Nobody copied anybody. This is a really widespread growing issue, and a lot of the younger community tries so hard to defend it. But you guys, you can't copy things, especially artist resins. You guys, half of these artists use resins as their livelihood. That is their job. That is how they make their money. And it doesn't make them millions of dollars. So when you copy one of their hard-earned sculpts that they have worked really hard on to produce, to get to people and everything else, you really not only devalue their work, but really just take away so much of their artistic copyright. And they do have copyright. You know, and they can legally go after you. It's so sad, you guys. It is so sad to see this community going this way where we defend copying, not inspiration, but copying. And in instances where someone is copying, it is not okay, guys. And you don't, just to be a friend to somebody, you don't always have to run out there and defend them copying. You know what you can do? Either stay out of it and let it be handled, or just tell them, like, look, we should use a different reference, or maybe you should use a different reference. Help them out. Go find them a different reference. But you guys, it's never okay. And I have seen some people who have done a copy, a flat out copy, or started one, been called out, and learned to grow so much from it. They didn't create a whole bunch of drama and sobbing and everything else. They learned from it. They asked questions. They changed the idea. They did exactly what I'm saying. They went out. They found their own real reference and created a beautiful piece. And then that was the end of it. But I promise you guys, Instagram is still considered a quote-unquote different part of the community. And by that I'm saying is it's majority of kids. There are adults moving towards it, but a lot of adults steer away from it because not only the drama, because there are things defended on Instagram as being okay that aren't. Copying is a huge start. You can never make it in this hobby by copying, because I promise you there's always going to be, for every one person who supports copying or thinks they can argue their way out of it, there's 50 people ready to call you out on it. I can promise you that because I've seen it so many times, even outside of Instagram in the adult hobby when it happens. Instagram is a rarity of itself, but the only way I can convey it to you how much of an issue copying is becoming is that people who have actually spent hard-earned money on their customs and their artist resins are getting scared to post photos because they know that there's this chance that it's going to be copied. They're going to get it posted on Instagram, the copy posted on Instagram. When they go and try to call it out, they're going to get bullied. They're going to get told they're wrong. They're going to get told all these reasons they're wrong when those reasonings aren't correct. They're going to get told they don't own the photo or anything. They don't own the idea, so they can't have it. No, they don't own the idea. But there is such thing as called being tactful and polite and respectful and being honoring another artist's work, and that is to never copy. Now, there have been some great vlogs out there and some great blogs about you shouldn't even copy another photo 100% because that person who took that photo has a copyright. There's been some great posts about how you should always change a reference 10%. I will tell you one way I try to always avoid copying, and the reason that I will tell you because I've always been asked how do you come up with such unique ideas? I've never seen anything like it. The reason that happens is because normally I spend forever looking for references, and I don't usually get a custom, especially a remake, done off of one reference. I usually use multiple. So I'll send my artist use this for the neck, use this for the legs, use this for the head, use this for the ears. And then for color, normally I'm hey, use this right here for the base color, but use this pattern, and they're two different references. Sometimes for one single horse, I have 6 different references, and that does make it hard because I have to make sure all the muscles and the movements are working, but I can have, like I said, anywhere up to 6 to 10 references for one single model, and that is how I avoid copying or even getting close to it a lot of the times. Now, there are certain things that you can't avoid. For instance, I have a reverse dapple roan Fausto. This guy right here. And this color has been done Lord knows how many times. But I didn't put it on a mold that it had already been done on. And we did change it up just a teeny tiny, sorry Kels. I did change it up just a teeny tiny bit. It just is, nobody got hurt. He just barely tapped it. But I changed it up a tiny bit to make the color semi-unique to my guy, and I didn't put it on a mold that's already been done. Is it copying? Absolutely not. I used a real horse. I put it on my own idea. Is it similar and has it been done? Absolutely, but I didn't use a model horse for my reference. So guys, there is this huge fine line between copying and inspiration and just sheer chance that someone does the same thing. The same thing happening, or the chance thing, happens more on color than sculpts. But you should never use a sculpt. So, again, I'm going to summarize it one more time. Copying. Copying would be, you see this horse right here, who is a one-of-a-kind custom. You decide you want her, but I'm not selling her, so you decide to use this actual horse right here to do a copy of. Even if you say, oh, I'm going to change the color, but I'm going to copy this sculpt. That's wrong, you guys. You need to go out and find your own horse reference, real horse reference, doing something similar, and find a way to make it your own and not use my reference. Inspiration would be saying, oh, okay, I like that horse with a ball. I'm going to do a horse with a ball. Go on Google, type in horse with a ball, see your tens of thousands of photos, and pick your own. There you go. You've got it. What happens is when you start to copy an artist, when you use a model horse reference as your starting point, and that's what you're going to use to go off of, even if you plan to make changes, when you're following a reference, your work tends to highly go with that reference. It's going to come out as copying, and your legs are going to start matching up, and people are going to notice, alright? I love each and every single one of you. I have met some fantastic young members in this hobby who have grown, and I've watched them grow over the course of 6 or 7 years now. I am not a kid. I am not 20 years old. I wish I was 20 again. I have made some amazing friends who, when I first met them, were 12 years old, and they're in college now. So I know that there are good young people out there. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is, if you're going to support copying, you need to do some serious research on copying in general, not just in the hobby, but how copying is not allowed in anything. Your high school papers, your college papers, etc. And you really need to understand not only what you're supporting, but what you are taking away from the hobby when you copy or support an artist that copies. Because I promise you, you are taking away more than just a copy. You're taking away someone's idea, someone's hard-earned money, someone's hard-spent money, and an artist's time.